Fired up about this call this morning. Really enjoyed the call yesterday with Jim and Gordy. So much gold shared on that call. And I'll say, I've been around the industry for quite some time, like yourself, Ted. Not quite as long as you. I'm working on it. But Jim, out of my years of experience, I would say Jim D'Amato is one of the best at capturing big premiums, right? And sharing the information and the gold, the nuggets that they shared yesterday, in my opinion, were solid gold. So I'm fired up about this call this morning because, again, it's a tough act to follow. But, this morning I know, and I'll have to give Ted all the credit for this call because, right after the call yesterday morning, he shot this voice note over to me. And man, I felt like it kind of piggybacked off their message yesterday. And hopefully we can share some tips with you guys this morning. So kind of our underlying theme this morning, Ted, I believe we're going to talk about how to increase your closing ratio. Okay. They talked that, yesterday's call was great about capturing bigger premiums and the presentation. So Ted and I just wanted to share this morning little tips, keywords, phrases to increase your closing ratio as you're interacting with clients this morning. So Ted, you want to kind of kick? I don't want to steal the show, so I'll kick it to you for a minute, and then we'll bounce back and forth, man.
Yeah, absolutely. You're 100% right. I thought the call yesterday was spot on. Those guys nailed it. That's what happens when we're rated the #1 call of the week, and these guys are trying to catch us. But I'm just kidding. But it's all good. I learned a lot myself. I took a lot of notes. I was texting back and forth. But I think verbiage is really important in this industry, and what you say. A lot of key phrases that I use. The one that is my most famous phrase that I will use in a home when I'm with a client is "this is how we work." So you're taking authority, you're taking your position. You want to lead them. You don't want to be led by them. You want to take control of the situation, and right away emphasizing "this is how we work." And it kind of opens up their minds a little bit. Oh, okay, this is how it's going to go. I'm going to lose my position here. And you guys might have heard this before, but what I'll say, when I first walk in that door, I want all the guards to drop. I want the arms unfolded. I want this thing going. I want the TV turned down. All that. So, what I'll say to break that barrier down, the very first thing after I say "this is how we work," I will tell them straight up, "Hey, look, I'm the only guy that's ever going to knock on your front door that's going to tell you in the first 30 seconds, I'm forcing you to think about it. I want you to think about it. I'm telling you to think about it. You have no choice but to think about it. You don't owe any money. We don't take any money. I'm not going to ask for any money. We're going to mail everything out to you. That's your chance to take it to your lawyer, your accountant, your son, your daughter, whoever the heck you want to take it to. That's your chance to do that. So we don't take a penny from you today. Let's take all that out of your head and focus in on what we're going to accomplish today. I got that from Jim early on, like you just mentioned. Today, not tomorrow, not next week, not getting back to me. So I say those first couple of things early on, and it drops their guard. Woo! I'm glad you're not asking me for money today because I ain't got any. I get paid on the first or third. What did that just do? They told you when they get paid. It's a beautiful thing. So go ahead. I don't want to steal all the thunder in the beginning because I know you can add.
I mean, it's kind of a mic drop moment. I think that covered the entire call. All right, guys, we're going to wrap up early today. All right. So, those are some strong keywords and phrases. Some of the things that I like to say or do are like tie down questions. Okay. And when you're using keywords and phrases, you can't just say the words and expect them to have impact. Okay. What you have to have is you have to have tonality. You have to have excitement. Ted is one of the most, he is probably the most vibrant person that I've ever seen in this industry. His tonality, his body language, like you can't help but have a sense of urgency or be excited when you're talking with Ted. Okay. And the same way he's interacting here is exactly how he interacts with clients, guys. We're not doing anything over the top, anything different than we would. Okay. But there's a time and a place for that. Okay. When we start talking, and we're a little different, Ted kind of maintains that energy pretty much throughout, and it's okay to be different. So with me, when you're talking about, who's the beneficiary going to be, right? Who are we protecting? Okay. And I'm kind of these are the key words, phrases or whatnot that I may ask, but when I'm asking them, it's not just about what you're saying. It's also about how you're saying it. Right. So, when you are talking about, hey, today we're going to, and it is so very important to emphasize what we're going to do today. And I use that as well, just like Ted mentioned. And guys, this can work for face to face. It also works for virtual. Just because Ted and I go out and knock on a door doesn't mean when you're on a call that you don't have to take control. Any of our top virtual producers, whether it's Jeremiah, whether it is Colin, whether it's JJ, any of those guys that produce virtually at high levels, Steve Terry, like any of them, if they unmuted right now, they would agree that it's the exact same thing for virtual. You have to be in control. You have to create a sense of urgency. What we're going to do today is, like, if you're doing it virtually and you hear a lot of background noise, okay, ask them to turn the TV down or tell them to turn the TV down, right? If I'm in a house, I'll reach out. Hey, where's your remote at? Do you have a TV remote? I'm going to turn that down. Okay. Some people think that's being rude, but it's really not, guys. It's just establishing who's going to be in control of that situation, using your words, using your tonality. Sorry, that Southern flair is coming out in me, I guess. But those things are, that's so very important, I think, in addition to keywords and phrases, is tonality. Now, creating sense of urgency, okay? I'll throw a few things out there that I say, and then I'll pass it to you, Ted, and I'll keep it short. We don't want to make it go too long today, and we've got a lot of topics we want to cover. But creating sense of urgency, again, going back to what we're going to do today, okay? And also, there's things you can say like, you're not any healthier, or there's two things that affect the cost of your insurance: your age and your health. Okay. And two things we can be guaranteed: we're never going to be any younger or any healthier than we are today, right now. Okay. But I'm sure, Ted, you have a lot you'll add to that. I'll kick it to you for a sec, about creating a sense of urgency, things you say or do to do that.
Yeah, you're on the track. Our telepathic waves are flowing. So I do the same thing, and I tell, hey, look, the worst thing you can do is procrastinate, because when I walk out your front door and I'm more abrupt than you, I'll say, look, only two things can happen. I leave this house and you don't do this today. Only two things are going to happen. You're going to die. You're going to die, or you're going to get so sick that you're going to call me, and I get 3 to 5 calls a week, every single week, from people I saw 3 months ago, 6 months ago, a year ago. Hey, Ted, guess what? I decided I want that insurance. Oh, fantastic. Let me come out. Walk through the front door. There's an oxygen tank. I was diagnosed with cancer, COPD, emphysema, and guess what? Now your rates are through the ceiling. You should have did it when you had the chance. So, Mr. Mrs. Client, there's only two things that can happen: you're going to die, or you're going to get sick.
Yeah.
You're here. Okay.
Yeah. So, and like, I think storytelling, in addition to keywords and phrases, helps create a sense of urgency. For example, and if you don't have a story, if you're still kind of new to this, still the two that I'm about to share, okay? Still Ted's, okay? But early on in my career, and this is one that really sticks out to me. I met with somebody and was trying to talk to them about a replacement. They have Mutual of Omaha. Well, it may not have been. I think it was AAR. I don't remember the carrier. It doesn't matter. Make one up, okay? Pick one. All right. So, but they had a carrier. It was the 5-year banded increasing term, cancels at age 80. Set with them. They had it for years. It had gone up on them, and I explained it to them and how it worked. And the guy was like in his mid to late 70s. Okay. And I told him, I'm like, hey, in a few years, this is going to cancel. Well, I've had it all this time. I'm going to keep it. Okay. Well, and that happens. And there's times where you can't overcome that. Okay. But this story is one you can kind of modify. And you can modify any of the stories you have to fit whatever you're dealing with. Let's say the objection you're facing with the client is, I need to think about it. I want to wait. I've had this a long time. Just modify the story to address that objection. Okay. But anyway, long story short. So the client, he had the policy for quite some time, was just scared to make any changes because it was comfortable. He knew it. And I was early in my career, so I kind of let him off easy, right? I didn't keep on and on. I actually wrote his wife a policy and told him we need to go ahead and fix yours as well. I'm going to keep it like it is. He didn't want to lose the face amount, I think, if I remember right. But anyway, again, modify the story how you see fit. And a few months later, he calls me back. And this is the part that I really tell when I'm trying to create a sense of urgency. He called me back because he realized I was right. His policy had canceled at age 80. He had no coverage. So we had to try to help him get coverage. And what I had originally quoted him, it was about $20 more per month just because he waited a couple years. Okay. So telling stories can also help. Another story anyway, there's tons of stories out there that you can share. Another story that I share, and then I'll, kind of kick it back to you, Ted, to kick off the next topic. But another story that I share is, when somebody asks, hey, I want to think about it. Can you leave me a card? Absolutely not. Not leaving you a card. Okay. Been called a lot of things. Back is not one of them. Right.
I love that.
There's
I love that.
so many statements that go along with that, but no, I won't leave you a card. But let me tell you why. Okay. And I'm going to also tell you why I want to help you today. Like right now, I want to help you because I left a card with somebody once upon a time. And then about 3 weeks later, and I tried to help them. They had absolutely no insurance and they just wanted to wait. Okay. No good reason. I'm not here to collect any money. So money was not the issue, but they just procrastinated. They just waited. A few weeks later, I left them my card, never heard back from them. A few weeks later, I get a phone call from their kids, and they're wanting to know. They're calling me asking, "Hey, I found your card here. Did Dad have insurance with you?" No, he wanted to think about it. I'm sorry. Well, he passed away, right? Mm-hmm. And again, Ted has a more direct way of saying a couple things going to happen. You're going to die, right? Mine is a little bit more, storytelling, a little bit different approach, but it still gets the same point across, guys. So make sure you've got a story. If you don't have one, steal one. Ted, what do we have up next on our agenda to talk about?
Emotional. So, you want to get, if you're not, I'll tell you this much, if you're not putting them in a situation emotionally where they're feeling why they need this, forget about it. So I'm also going to share a story. An appointment, I was in and out in, I believe it was 7 minutes. Remember, guys, you control who you do business with. Okay. You have that right. You earn that right. Everybody on this call. So I'm in a home on Tuesday. I walk in the front door. I'm going to take my remote, pretend it's my cell phone. She's sitting there like this. Scrolling on her phone. I'm like, oh, this is the card you filled out, man. Scrolling on her phone. Yeah, let me see if I can help you out with some of these banks. Scrolling on her phone. I'm like, you know what, Mrs. Jones? I'm going to excuse myself and get the heck out of here. I got other people to see that need my help and that want me to come out and put them in a better situation. I'm just going to excuse myself and get the heck out of here. And I left. She
Hmm.
never took her eyes off the phone, even when I was walking out the door. Guys, gals, everyone on this call, you decide who you want to do business with. Don't do business with people like that. That is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So emotional is everything. If you can't bring them in and build that emotion, you're going to lose them. So I do a couple of things. I had a phrase, a saying when I was a little kid that my dad, my family used to say, "Hey, Teddy," they used to call me Little Teddy, right? So, and I used to say, okay, Little Teddy. I just went with it all these years. But they used to say, a picture is worth 1,000 words. So my presentation, definitely different than Ron's, definitely different than Jim's, definitely different from Jason, definitely different from Josh. We're all different, but we all have the same common thing. Emotion is everything. So what I did is it hit me one night at 3 o'clock in the morning. A picture's worth 1,000 words. So I sell hard on the living benefits because I know the next guy in behind me or that was there before me, all they're going to talk about is why my 10,000 is better than this guy's 10,000. And that's why my persistency is 75%, my taken rate is 78%, and I make these trips. So the first picture I show, I went online and I pulled up a picture, man suffering from a terminal illness, print, put it in my packet. That's what I point to when I'm talking about terminal illness. Next one, woman with a chronic illness, boom, print. Take it with me, put it in a see-through protector, take it with me when I get to chronic illness, point at it. ADND, boom, printed out a picture of a girl in a wheelchair. This one actually had a story to it where she was hit by a drunk driver and it put her in the wheelchair, and she took her car to the car dealership and had the interior of her car redone where she used paddles and levers with her hands to drive the car. I tell these stories. I've heard it a billion times. But guys, this is the first time they're ever hearing it when you're in a home. Show them pictures. Be different. Get them emotionally. I have had people cry to me when I tell these stories. They welt up. There's tears in their eyes. The last one I'll share is my grandma Ellie. She was 106 years old. And I sold her a forester's policy 30 years ago. She hit age 100. Guess what? She got a big fat check. I sold her a 10,000 benefit. She got a check for like 18 grand. It almost doubled. We used that cash value for her when she was in the nursing home. We bought her a big screen TV with a wireless headset so she could watch her General Hospital. We got her a memory foam mattress. She had a vision of God a week before she died. This is a true story. She said, Teddy, God came to me last night and said I should have my funeral now. And I'm like, Grandma Ellie, you're still alive. And she goes, I know, but I want to see everybody before I die. We go to the head nursing station. We rented out the room in the nursing home where they played bingo. We took cash value out of the policy. Remember, she had 10, now it's worth almost 20. So it didn't hurt her death benefit hardly at all. We prepaid for that room, hired a DJ and a caterer to bring food. 100 people showed up, and her life insurance policy paid for that party. 3 days later, Grandma Ellie, I'm going to get emotional. Grandma Ellie slipped into a coma and never came out of it. And that is going to be her memory for the. I tell that story in every single solitary house I'm in. That's emotional, guys. That's bringing emotion to the table. That is bringing them in. And my face is on that picture. My sister Debbie's face is on that picture. And there's 106-year-old Grandma Ellie in that nursing home bed with a big smile on her face. So if you don't have a Grandma Ellie, Ron just said it, use Ted Sager's Grandma Ellie.
Absolutely. Wow. And I don't think that I'm even going to touch on that message. We'll move like that. Yeah, that's
Sorry.
huge there. No, that's great. Moving on to finding out their why. Okay. There's many ways that you can, find out what's important to them. Different people are different, right? If you ask them, you know, So if something were to happen to you, or when something happens to you, again, creating that sense of urgency, it is not if, it is when. Okay. When something happens to you, who's going to be the first person to show up at, at the funeral home to plan things out? Right. And then you ask, all right, is that who we're protecting? Okay. And they say, of course, they're going to say absolutely yes. Right. You're setting them up for your answers. Right. You're asking the question they already know the answer to. Right. And you know what that answer is going to be. Okay. Um, but you can take it a step further than that. Okay. Like, unless you're Grandma Ellie, that's going to actually have a funeral while you're living, right? You know, it's good to have some other portion to that wine, right? Not everybody gets to celebrate with friends and family before they pass, right? So, finding out, what else is important to them. Is it a charity? Okay. Is it the church, right? Is it some type of nonprofit locally that impacted them? Okay. So a couple things you're doing here. Number one, you're finding out their why. You're covering the need, just like we talk about, create a problem, provide a solution. Okay. But in addition to that, now if you want to get additional premium, additional face amount, okay, you find out what their wants are. If they could leave, if they can afford, if their budget will handle it, if this works for you, who would you like to leave extra money to, right? Who would you like for it to benefit? I remember an agent one time was sitting through a meeting, and we were talking about, just kind of kicking things back and forth. And, we were talking about uncovering the why. What was their why? And this lady was, her son she only had one kid. That was her son. He was early 50s. Okay. And he still lived at home with her. He had his room. He was in his room. I think he came out to grab a soda and went right back to his room, right? One of those kids. Okay. And she's like, I'm not worried about him. I've given him everything. I don't want to leave him a dime. Okay. There's nobody on this earth that she cared about at all about keeping them from leaving them anything. Okay. But she had a lot of cats. Okay. And so the guys, he's going back and forth with her. Surely there's somebody that can take care of your final expense. Like, he's trying to focus on final expenses, but that's not always what's important. You got to realize everyone's different. Okay. So as a last ditch effort, he threw in there, well, what about your cats? What's going to happen to them when you pass? Your son doesn't have a job. He doesn't have any means for caring for them. Wouldn't you like to leave a little bit of money behind to make sure that your cats are cared for? And buddy, like, she got emotional and she's like, I never thought about that. He ended up walking out with a sale. So uncovering the why is very important. And, making sure that you don't always have to focus on burial and protecting family. Sometimes there's other things in that, like, family's not important to everyone. Usually you can find something that's important to someone. Now, if you can't find anything, like Ted said, you're wasting your time. Like, if they're not interested, if there's not a purpose behind our interaction today, you're wasting your time. And it could be even living benefits. That's something that I learned from Ted. I've never throughout my career really focused on living benefits much. But he's 100% right. Every agent, even myself, if I go into a home and I'm doing a replacement, it's about the numbers a lot, right? I have to catch myself and walk back down on that. But it's most agents focus on the numbers, focus on the benefits. What else and what in addition can we bring to it? But making sure you're uncovering that why. Anything you want to add to that, Ted?
No, brother, you nailed it. Do you want to jump to the banking quick?
Absolutely. Let's do that. We got a couple other things here, but one of the main things I think one of the main objections that we run into and that most people run into is a social security number. Okay. Other personal info, but banking. okay, how to ask for the banking, okay, I think can be one of the most challenging things. And I think this applies for virtual as well as face to face. One of the main things I do, and I see we're running short on time. Thanks for helping me out there, Ted.
No
Um,
worries.
but one of the main things that I do is I'll loop the banking in. First off, I'll tell them about Social Security billing. Never use the word draft. Okay, I don't say bank draft because there's such a negative aura around that. Most of our clients, not all, but most have had an NSF and they blame it on the bank draft, right? So I tell them, okay, now just so you know, we've worked with the carriers, and I'm assuming you're like most of our clients, you're on a fixed or limited income like Social Security where you get it on the first, third, or one of the Wednesdays. Is that right? They say, yeah. Okay, now which one is yours? The first, the third, or one of the Wednesdays? And find out. Well, mine comes on the first. Okay, great. So we used to have issues when we were using bank drafts, and the carriers would actually take the money late or they would take it early, and it would cause you to have overdraft. Okay, and we don't want that. So we got with the carriers, and now instead of doing bank drafts, we do a PAC or a pre-authorized check, and through Social Security billing. The way this works is you get your check on the first, and then the bank automatically pays your insurance for you when that check deposits, when Social Security deposits, okay? Whether that's the first, third, or one of the Wednesdays. So it's not a bank draft, but it is an automatic payment. It's called Social Security billing, to where when Social Security deposits, we're not taking anything out of your Social Security check, nothing, okay? When Social Security deposits, the bank automatically pays your insurance for you, right? Um, and then when I want them to go, when it comes to the time to go get that banking, okay, so I've already covered that, and that led into this. When I have them get up and go get their medications, okay, I've already kind of told them, hey, I've gone through the presentation at this point. Now we're just trying to narrow it down to carrier selection. I've gone over agent broker. I've let them know that we do all the shopping for them so that they don't have to. I show them the quota on my screen, okay, and so I'm asking them to go get their medications, all right, which is not usually a big deal. They're like, okay, yeah, I'll go get my meds. Part of that is when I tell them to get up and go get it, I'll say, oh, by the way, to save you a trip, go ahead and grab something with your account and routing number on it. Okay. It could even be a bank statement. If you have a check, that would be great. Okay. Oh, and also grab your ID, because I'm supposed to see your ID and verify that you, just like I showed you my ID in the beginning, I need to verify that you are who you say you are for the insurance company. I trust you, but I do need to see it. So while you're getting your meds, go ahead and grab your banking and your ID. So it it like seems to make things a little smoother because they know they got to have their medicines for underwriting. We've already kind of touched on Social Security billing, and that's kind of how I handle that. Ted, you want to add anything to that before we close?
Yeah, you nailed it. That was brilliant transition. I use the word secure a lot more when I'm doing that. This is a secure tablet. All the information now to absolutely 100% beyond a shadow of a doubt. Miss Mary, I'm going to let you know that this is a secure tablet and that information goes directly into here. Now, to 100% make sure that nobody has access to that, I'm going to put that right in here, and we're going to match this up identical with your Social Security. Out of sight, out of mind, never got to worry about it. Now, what bank pays you, Miss Mary? What bank sends you your check every month? PNC Bank. Yep, 0313000012. You look like a genius. They're like, how in the world did you know that? Oh, Wells Fargo, 0310000503. And doing this over these years, guys, take a weekend. Take a weekend and pull up your routing numbers in your area. You will never have to ask for an account number, ever.
Right.
You sound like an absolute genius to them. Oh, yeah, that routing number, I got it, Miss Mary. Go ahead and make sure this is all secure and all locked in. Go ahead. What is that account number to make sure nobody gets in there besides this premium? Now, we're going to go ahead and set up for you. And that's way, I'm waving. way next month. We're talking the third week of September, Miss Mary. What? That's forever from now. You'll have your packet and all your information right in front of you. Review it, look at it way before you owe us a nickel. So take your time, do your thing, but this is all secure. I'll lock this in for you and make sure absolutely nobody has access to this information except the carrier, Social Security, and that bank that's going to set that up for you. And again, are you a wacky Wednesday? I always use that. They laugh. Or are you the first or third? Similar to what Ron says. And guys, it works every single time. If you know that routing number before they go do it, I've never, ever had it. Oh, I'm not giving you my information. You already know it. I already know the routing number. And that's what's great about your cell phone. You pull out your cell phone, oh, PNC Bank, routing number, PA, boom. So it's a beautiful thing. Somebody had asked Ron, yes, the banking information is at the end of every application most of the time, to where you have the account and routing. You can put it in at the end of the app, not the beginning. So,
guys, it's so important. So I saw. Thank you, John, for answering that question. You're absolutely right. Social Security billing is at the end of the app. But if you're not familiar with Social Security billing and you're writing final expense, please, and this is a call for another time, but I do want to touch on it. Please get with your upline, reach out to myself, Ted, whoever, but make sure you're using carriers that have true Social Security billing. Okay. If you came here from another organization and you're unable to access a carrier because your contracts are tied up, that has Social Security billing, you do what you have to do during that transition period. But as soon as you can get access to a carrier that has true Social Security billing, not all have it. As soon as you can get access to one, use it. That's so very important. And I'll break that down real quick. The first falls on a weekend. Okay. They're going to get their check early. With true Social Security billing, the carrier is taking that payment early. Okay. Instead of without true Social Security billing, it may be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday following. Therefore, that money could be gone out of that account, creating an overdraft and creating an NSF that you have to now chase back down. Make sure you're using Social Security billing if at all possible.
Yes. Yeah, and that's I'll just 2 seconds. That is so important because in Allentown, Billy Joel wrote a song about it, living here in Allentown. And here in Allentown, man, that check hits and that premium don't come out for that check hits. It's the orange soda, the grape soda, the cigarettes, forget it. That will be NSF, that ain't going through. So very well said. Very well said.
Priorities.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well,